She closed her eyes and replayed her graduation day. The auditorium had erupted in applause as she walked across the stage, mortarboard snagging the glare of stage lights. Cameras flashed, proud relatives beamed, recruiters nodded approvingly. Maya had aced every exam, led every club, networked every networkable contact. She'd landed an analyst position at one of New York's most prestigious firms before she even picked up her diploma. Proof that the formula she'd mastered all the way through school still worked. But here, in the trenches of corporate financial analysis, that formula felt like an empty promise. On that restless night, as the city's hum seeped through the walls and the distant wail of a siren pulsed like a heartbeat, Maya scrolled through her phone. She saw snapshots of garage entrepreneurs transforming into billionaires, photos of startups valued in the billions before their founders had turned 30. A roasted coffee cup steamed beside her keyboard, untouched. She whispered to herself, "They taught me how to calculate risk on paper, but not how to harness it in life. They taught me formulas that guaranteed test scores, but no formula guaranteed fulfillment." That moment became her crucible. Maya knew she needed to rewrite her own curriculum. The first step was brutal honesty. Her beliefs were shackles, forged by years of academic conditioning. She had swallowed two unspoken mantras as gospel truth: work relentlessly, and always stay within the safety of the prescribed lane. But if her career had taught her anything, it was that the right path is rarely straight, and security, while comforting, often disguised stagnation. Armed with nothing but a journal and a stubborn streak, she turned her desk lamp into a confessional. Each evening before sleep she wrote, "What lie am I telling myself? How would I live if I believed the opposite? What small act terrifies me, but could change everything?" Those were dangerous questions, capable of cracking even the hardest self-delusions. In the glow of the lamp, the first answer emerged. She believed her worth equaled her title. An analyst, she told herself, was a cog, necessary but replaceable. What if she saw herself not as a cog, but as a catalyst? If she could spark change anywhere, what difference would that make? The next morning, Maya showed up at the office with sweaty palms, but a determined mind. When the team dithered over a stale quarterly report format, she volunteered to redesign it. She stayed late, teaching herself a new data visualization tool, rearranged the metrics into a dynamic dashboard, and presented it the next day with a trembling voice that grew steadier with every slide. Her manager's eyebrow arched, then lifted into a nod of genuine surprise. That nod felt like the first brick laid in a new foundation. As weeks turned into a month, Maya's nightly ritual tightened its grip on her life. She began to catch herself before old habits crept back in. Instead of diving straight into email at sunrise, she paused to ask, "What belief will I upgrade today?" She scribbled gratitude lists, 3 things she genuinely appreciated, and visualized her triumph for the day: a persuasive conversation, a streamlined workflow, a newly formed connection. It wasn't fluffy positivity, it was intentional focus. Energy, she discovered, is a resource you direct, not a random gift you receive. Then came the law of attraction in action. One drizzly afternoon, as the subway rattled beneath Manhattan's veins, Maya overheard 2 colleagues lamenting the unfair corporate ladder. Their words sloshed around her mind like stale water. "Nobody notices good work, and the deck is stacked against us." In the past, she might have joined their chorus of complaint. Instead, she recalled her early morning visualization and asked herself, "What positive outcome can I create right now?" She mentored a junior teammate through a thorny spreadsheet error, quietly highlighted their correct insights in a meeting, and watched their gratitude transform the room's atmosphere. She'd flipped the narrative, from "I'm stuck" to "I'm shaping opportunity." Shaping. Leadership, Maya learned next, had nothing to do with a corner office or a title. It was influence, the subtle art of making others want to follow because you served their needs. So she began mentoring interns, not by giving them directives, but by asking questions that lit their own insights. What's your gut saying? If you had no fear, what would you try? She shared the lessons she was learning about belief upgrades and energy management without pretending she had all the answers. Word spread. When a major client threatened to walk away over a miscommunication, senior leaders looked to Maya. With empathy as her compass, she listened to the client's frustrations, translated them into actionable fixes, and secured a renegotiated contract worth millions. Her manager later told her, "You turned a crisis into a contract. That's influence." Discipline of routine soon cemented her transformation. Forget gym memberships that gathered dust. Maya built a morning practice that demanded nothing more than her own commitment. At 5:30 a.m. she woke, drank water like medicine, and wrote down 3 gratitudes. At 5:45 she cracked open a book on leadership or entrepreneurial case studies, sometimes devouring just a single potent page. At 6 miles she moved her body, sometimes yoga stretches on her apartment carpet, sometimes a jog that woke every cell. By 6:30 she sat with closed eyes, heart steady, mapping her top 3 priorities. The first week, her alarm felt like an enemy drilling into her skull. By day 14, her routine was a ritual, imbuing her hours with energy that spilled into every meeting, every project, every email. Habits she tracked in a simple spreadsheet, green for completion, red for missed. By the end of that first month, she'd hit green on 26 out of 30 days. The numbers gave her feedback, not excuses, and the real feedback came at work. Her performance reviews shifted from meets expectations to consistently exceeds. It wasn't a title change, yet. It was a permission slip she granted herself, proving that consistency beats talent when talent doesn't show up. Next, Maya abandoned a transactional mindset. Instead of completing tasks for a paycheck, she asked, "How can I deliver exponential value today?" She observed her colleagues' pain points like a detective. When sales complained about outdated lead generation charts, she spent an evening teaching herself a new AI-driven dashboard platform. 2 days later, the team had live data visuals that spiked their outreach success. When IT groaned under hundreds of support tickets, she rallied a small group for a weekend hackathon, automating the worst of them and cutting ticket volume by 30%. When HR struggled with low engagement, she pitched growth circles, monthly peer coaching sessions where employees set goals and held each other accountable. None of these initiatives required a budget line. They required initiative, imagination, and the willingness to cross department lines. Communication, Maya discovered, was the grease that made all these gears turn smoothly. She practiced the 1-minute pitch, outline the challenge in 10 seconds, present the idea in 30, hammer home the benefit in 20. She peppered her slides with real stories, a junior team frightened by a tight deadline, an intern whose confidence soared after a single encouragement, because data without human context falls flat. She rehearsed in front of her bathroom mirror until her words felt as natural as breathing. Suddenly, her presentations to executives weren't just listened to, they were acted upon. But transformation isn't without setbacks. When her team attempted a major client onboarding overhaul, a cascade of unforeseen glitches threatened to derail months of work. The old Maya would have curled into shame or blamed teammates. The new Maya called her cross-functional group into a tight huddle, stripped away ego, and ran a retrospective, "What broke? Where did we assume wrongly? How can we prevent this next time?" They distilled 3 action items: streamline approvals, beef up testing, alert stakeholders at the first sign of delay, and relaunched only when they knew the process was bulletproof. The client, once furious, became an admirer of their transparency. Failure had become feedback, a trust-building triumph rather than a hidden scar. As her influence grew, Maya realized that her impact multiplied when she taught others. She formalized her mentorship into weekly success circles. 6 to 8 colleagues gathered after hours in a conference room lit by a single lamp, each sharing a challenge and receiving structured feedback. They followed a simple framework: philosophy, attitude, action plan, growth network, review cycle, and held one another accountable. Maya didn't preside like a queen. She facilitated like a coach, letting each member discover their own insights. By teaching, she deepened her own mastery. By elevating others, she expanded her reach. 2 years after that fateful night of scrolling through entrepreneurial snapshots, Maya felt a pull she couldn't ignore. Her corporate ladder had been sturdy, but her heart yearned for uncharted ground. She gave notice, packing up her desk with mixed feelings: sadness for the end of a chapter, exhilaration for the blank pages ahead. She founded Elevate Academy, an online platform designed to teach professionals how to build personalized success formulas. Every lesson, every cohort, every community element echoed the principles she'd lived: belief upgrades, disciplined routines, influence through service, exponential value creation, and resilience as feedback.